So you probably heard ND filters are going to be essential for your camera drones, and supposedly by using them you should be getting better results of the final footage. But why is that? This is going to be something that we will be explaining in this video. Let's get going. Before I begin, if you can, please help me like and subscribe, as this is going to keep my content flowing. Thank you. Alright, so first and foremost, you need to know that our camera drones are going to be having a set aperture on your camera, because yeah, that's just how it is, unless you have a really high-end model. Otherwise, yeah, you have a set aperture. So if you're looking to get good motion blurs in your videos, you kind of can only play with the shutter speed. And the best setting guidelines is generally the 180 shutter rule, which you should doubling your frame rate as the shutter speed, like 4K 30 with a 60 shutter speed and 4K 60 with a 120 shutter speed, so etc. This is just how it is, goes on and on. But because of the camera drones not having adjustable aperture, is generally going to get overexposed in kind of like outdoor environment, unless you are just filming like sunsets or like sunrise. Otherwise, in the rest of the time, yeah, it's gonna get overexposed for sure. And this is where ND filters are gonna be kicking in. You can see it as the sunglasses for your drone camera. So any brands of ND filters are generally going to be okay, but for me personally, I'm using the K&F and Freewell ND filters as my daily driver, as they do have a good overall quality product and at a kind of like a budget kind of cost. The most common ND filters you might be getting are those individual piece of ND filters, which each piece of ND filters is going to represent a stop. The bigger the number is, the darker it's going to get. For example, so to complete a full day shoot using my Mini 3 Pro drones, I generally start with ND8 to ND16, which should basically get you cover for morning or kind of like late afternoon. But if it kind of goes to noon or kind of like somewhere where the like sun is really strong, then I generally have to go up to 32, and some extreme cases ND64 to kind of like get the darkest possible. A small tip and a cheap method I often use to determine which ND filter is correct and like for your particular scenario is by enabling the zebra line in the DJI software, which the screen here you can see you're going to be showing some parts are going to be overexposed with zebra lines, and this will be my base to determine which ND filter is right for the particular scenario. So the goal is kind of like have less zebra line possible, but just remember, if you're going to point your camera at the sun, there's no way you can kind of like offset it, because you're going to need an ND 1 million or ND like whatever 1000 in order to kind of wash it out, but that's not going to happen. As I was saying, you have to try it on in order for you to determine which ND filter is for the correct scenario. And for drones, it's a little bit more complicated, because you can't just replace it in mid-air. You have to bring it down and kind of like remove it, and it's quite a little bit hassle that you kind of have to be very careful and very gentle when kind of like taking it off from the gimbal, because you don't want it to damage the gimbal. So to avoid this, my personal recommendation is to use a VND filter, which represent a variable ND, and it's basically a turnable dialing wheel that you can just adjust to the correct stop you need. So for this particular VND filter, we are having 5 stop. So the first one is going to be ND2, second ND4, third ND8, fourth is going to be ND16, and then the fifth is going to be ND32. Which generally this one is going to be covering most of the scenarios that you're going to be facing in the full day shoots. And if you need to go to ND64, you can just get another one, which goes to even more, as you can see right here on the screen. So the beauty of the VND filter is that now you don't have to like try on one by one to see which one fits the best. You can just turn the dial and just kind of like see which one eliminates the most zebra lines on your screen. So very convenient. One less extra step that you have to do in a busy shoot. These little small things often just add up to your full day shoots, and if you can do less, make your life a little bit more easier. Easier to get more beautiful footage instead of just kind of sometimes the 10 seconds is all you need to kind of miss something. That's just kind of my experience. So with all these being said, what is my conclusion? Well, ND filters are going to be some cheap investment to help you get good results much more easier, but if you're only going to shoot mainly on auto, the DJI cameras are going to be good enough that it will just give you somewhat a good result, and you could avoid using ND filters for a while if you just want to. If you just wanted to point and shoot and not do a lot of like post-productions, just kind of like do the auto and it's good. Also, since the altitude when operating a camera drone is going to be fairly high, the motion blurs you're going to be seeing in the final result are not going to be that obvious. This is to compare with the FPV drone that constantly sticking itself to the ground, as you can see on the footage right here. Just a side-by-side comparison, you can see, yeah, FPV drones motion blur does make it look a lot more faster. So it's really up to you to decide if you wanted to grab one, but if you do, I do recommend try to get yourself a VND filter. That just makes life so much more easier instead of just having to like try on each piece one by one in a full case. With the VND filter, all you need is just one, and yeah, makes life so much easier. All right, so that's going to be concluding the short video, and I hope these tips actually helps you because this is kind of my personal experience. All right, so just enjoy some additional footage, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.